On a cold November evening in Manhattan, Ethan Calloway stood beneath the warm lights of a restaurant on Madison Avenue and watched the woman he had loved for 4 years laugh at something another man had said. Victoria Bennett's laugh was different around Julian Mercer. It was softer, freer, almost girlish, and Ethan hated himself for noticing. "You're staring again," Victoria said when she finally looked across the table. Ethan lifted his glass. "I'm looking at you." "I know." Julian smiled from beside her. "You two always do this." Ethan turned toward him. "Do what?" "Have conversations without saying what you're actually talking about." Victoria gave a small laugh. "Don't encourage him, Julian. I'm only observing." Ethan looked at the two of them, then down at the silver watch on his wrist. "You said we'd have dinner alone tonight." Victoria's smile disappeared for half a second. Julian was already nearby. And I invited him. Without asking me." Victoria leaned back. "Ethan, it's dinner, not a hostage negotiation." Julian chuckled. Ethan didn't. The waiter arrived with another bottle of wine, and Victoria immediately changed the subject. She began talking about a charity gala, a new apartment one of her friends had bought downtown, and a promotion she hoped to receive before Christmas. Ethan listened. He had become very good at listening. "You know what my mother asked me last Sunday?" Victoria said. "What?" she asked. "When we're finally getting married." Ethan smiled despite himself. "What did you tell her?" Victoria lifted her glass and looked at him over the rim. "I told her when the time is right." Ethan's smile faded slightly. "You've been saying that for almost 2 years." "Because it's true." "When will the time be right?" Victoria shrugged. "When everything settles down." "Everything?" "My career. My mother. Julian's company restructuring. The apartment situation." Ethan stared at her. "Why is Julian's company on that list?" Silence settled over the table. Julian looked away. Victoria's fingers tightened around her wineglass. "Because we're friends, Ethan. I didn't ask whether you're friends." "Then, what are you asking?" "I'm asking why his life keeps appearing inside ours." Victoria's expression hardened. "You're being insecure." That word landed harder than an accusation. Ethan looked toward the window. Manhattan glittered beyond the glass. Thousands of windows shining like private lives no one could see clearly from the street. "Maybe," he said. "Maybe I'm tired." Victoria reached across the table and touched his hand. "You know I love you." Ethan looked at her fingers. "Then marry me." She pulled back. "Ethan. I'm serious." "So am I." "Then what's stopping you?" Victoria's eyes flickered toward Julian before returning to Ethan. "I need time." Ethan almost laughed. Instead, he nodded. "Of course you do." After dinner, Victoria left first, claiming she had an early meeting. Julian followed 5 minutes later. Ethan stayed behind. He sat alone beneath the amber lights, staring at the empty chair where Victoria had been sitting. His phone vibrated. It was a message from Lily Bennett. "Did you get home safely?" Ethan stared at the screen for a long moment before replying. "Not yet." Another message appeared. "Bad night?" He hesitated. She had always been kind to him. But kindness had never seemed dangerous before. "Just one of those nights," he wrote. Her reply came almost immediately. "Then don't drive angry. Sit somewhere quiet first." Ethan smiled faintly. "You sound like your mother." "That's offensive," Lily replied. "I'm much nicer." For the first time, that evening, Ethan laughed. He didn't know that this tiny exchange would become important later. He didn't know that Lily had noticed things everyone else ignored. He didn't know that Victoria had already begun losing him. He only knew that when he finally walked out into the November cold, he looked up at the Manhattan skyline and felt, for the first time, that the future he had spent 4 years waiting for might never arrive. 3 days later, Victoria called him while he was at his office. "Ethan, don't be upset." He closed his eyes. That's never a good opening. My mother's hosting dinner Friday. Okay, she wants you there. And she wants us to talk about the wedding. Ethan sat back in his chair. The wedding? Yes. Our wedding. Obviously. He was silent. Victoria softened her voice. I told you, Ethan. I will marry you. He looked through the glass wall of his office at the people moving across the floor. You always say that. Because I mean it. Do you? Why wouldn't I? Ethan wanted to tell her about Julian. He wanted to ask where she had been the previous Saturday night. He wanted to ask why a hotel receipt had appeared in the pocket of her coat. But instead he said, I'll be there Friday. Good. Victoria sounded relieved. And Ethan? Yes. Don't make this difficult. He stared at the phone. I'm not the one making it difficult. She hung up. Ethan remained still for several seconds. Then an email appeared on his computer from an unknown address. There was no message, only one attachment. He opened it. A photograph appeared on the screen. Victoria stood outside a hotel in Tribeca, smiling beside Julian. His hand rested lightly against the small of her back. The timestamp was from the previous Saturday night. Ethan stared at the photograph without blinking. Then he noticed something else. Victoria was wearing the small diamond necklace Ethan had given her on their 3rd anniversary. He leaned back slowly. 4 years of promises suddenly seemed very fragile. His phone rang again. This time it was Lily. Hi, she said. I was wondering if you're coming Friday. Ethan looked at the photograph again. Yes. Are you okay? He closed the email. I'm fine. There was a pause. Lily knew he was lying. Ethan? Yeah. You don't have to pretend with me. His throat tightened. I'll see you Friday, Lily. Okay. She hesitated. Just. Don't let anyone convince you that wanting the truth makes you difficult. The line went quiet. Ethan slowly lowered the phone. Outside, Manhattan continued moving as if nothing had changed. But something had. He just hadn't yet understood how completely. Friday evening arrived with the polished inevitability of a family tradition, and by 7:30 the Bennett townhouse on the Upper East Side was glowing behind tall windows, its dining room prepared for a conversation everyone believed would end with champagne. Victoria had spent the entire afternoon choosing between 2 dresses, then finally settled on a dark green one that Ethan had once told her made her look impossible to forget. She remembered his words as she stood before the mirror. But instead of feeling tenderness, she felt irritation. Her phone lay face down on the marble counter. It had vibrated 3 times in the last 10 minutes. She knew who it was. She also knew she should not answer. You said you weren't coming tonight, she whispered. Julian's voice was warm, amused. I said I wasn't coming to dinner. Julian. Relax. You can't keep doing this. Doing what? Calling me when I'm with Ethan. Then don't answer. Victoria closed her eyes. You know I can't. Exactly. She hated how easily he said it. I have to go. Before you do. Tell me something. What? If he asks you about us, what are you going to say? Victoria stared at her reflection. There is no us. Julian laughed quietly. That's not what you said last night. Her expression changed. Don't. You said you wished you had met me first. I was upset. You meant it. Victoria ended the call. For several seconds she stood completely still, staring at the woman in the mirror. Then she picked up her lipstick and applied another layer as though cosmetics could cover uncertainty. Downstairs, Ethan waited beside her mother's fireplace. He wore a navy suit and carried himself with the calm confidence that had once attracted Victoria. Her father, Charles Bennett, greeted him warmly. There he is. My future son-in-law. Ethan smiled politely. Good to see you, Charles. Victoria's mother kissed his cheek. We're finally going to settle this tonight. Victoria walked into the room. Settle what? Her mother smiled. Your wedding. Victoria forced a laugh. Mom. Don't mom me. We've waited long enough. Charles raised his glass. I agree. Ethan looked at Victoria. So do I. She held his gaze for a moment, then smiled. Fine. Her mother nearly clapped. Fine. We'll start planning. Ethan's chest tightened. Really? Really? Victoria stepped closer. I've been thinking about spring. Ethan stared at her. Spring? April, maybe. Small ceremony. Somewhere beautiful. Her mother immediately began discussing venues. Ethan listened as Victoria described flowers, invitations, photographs, and a honeymoon in Italy. She sounded convincing. Almost too convincing. What about the engagement? Charles asked. Victoria glanced at Ethan. We can announce it after Christmas. Ethan smiled. That's a plan. Victoria reached for his hand beneath the table. Her fingers were warm. For one dangerous moment, Ethan wanted to believe everything. Then his phone vibrated in his pocket. He didn't look at it. He didn't need to. He already knew the photograph was still there. Later that night, after dinner, Victoria followed Ethan upstairs. You're quiet. I'm listening. You don't seem happy. I'm trying to understand something. What? Ethan looked at her. How can you talk about marrying me when you're still seeing him? Victoria froze. The silence was so complete that Ethan could hear the faint hum of the heating system. Who? She asked. Julian. She looked offended. You really think I'm sleeping with Julian? Ethan didn't answer. That's what you think of me. I think you're lying to me. Because of one photograph. Because of many things. Victoria folded her arms. Then tell me. Ethan watched her carefully. You stayed at the Mercer Hotel last Saturday. Her face changed for barely a second. I told you I had drinks with the girls. You told me that after you came home. So, you weren't with the girls. Victoria looked away. I don't remember every detail of every night. I do. That's your problem, Ethan. He stepped closer. No. My problem is that I remember what you say. She stared at him. Julian was there. So what? So you lied. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd react like this. Ethan laughed once, without humor. You didn't tell me because you knew I'd ask questions. You don't trust me. Give me a reason to. Her eyes filled with frustration. I love you. And him? Victoria said nothing. That silence was answer enough. Ethan nodded slowly. That's what I thought. She reached for his arm. Ethan, it's complicated. He pulled away. No. It's actually very simple. You don't understand. Then explain it. I don't know what I want. But you know you want both. Victoria's eyes hardened. That's unfair. Is it? She turned away. I need time. Ethan almost smiled. Of course you do. Why do you keep saying that? Because every time I ask you for honesty, you ask me for time. She looked at him. And for a moment neither spoke. Then she whispered, Are you going to leave me? Ethan looked at her. That question frightened her more than anything he had said all evening. He saw it. She expected him to reassure her. Instead he answered quietly, I don't know. Victoria's face went pale. You don't know? Not anymore. He left the room. She stood alone, furious at him for the first time because he had failed to behave according to the role she had assigned him. Ethan was supposed to wait. Ethan was supposed to forgive. Ethan was supposed to remain the stable man while she figured herself out. She did not understand that stability was not the same as surrender. Over the next 3 weeks, Victoria became more careful. She deleted messages from Julian, changed the name under which his number was saved, and stopped wearing perfume on nights she saw him. But emotional affairs had a way of creating their own evidence. Ethan noticed the new password on her phone. He noticed the unexplained rideshare receipts. He noticed how often she smiled at messages she refused to show him. He said nothing. Instead, he began keeping records. Not because he wanted revenge. Because he needed to know whether he was losing his mind. One Tuesday morning, he found a receipt in the pocket of Victoria's winter coat. The hotel was in Soho. The room had been booked under Julian's company account. Ethan folded the receipt and placed it inside a drawer at his office. That afternoon, Lily came by unexpectedly. She found him sitting alone with the lights off. "Are you working?" she asked. "Thinking." "That's dangerous." Ethan smiled faintly. "So I've heard." Lily put a paper cup on his desk. "Coffee. Thank you." She sat across from him. "Victoria said you're fighting." Ethan looked at her. "She told you?" "Not much." Lily studied his face. "Enough. She's not wrong. Are you?" Ethan looked toward the window. "I don't know anymore." Lily was quiet. "You know what scares me?" "What?" "My sister has always believed people will stay if she needs them." Ethan looked at her. "Why would you say that?" "Because I've watched her do it." "With me?" Lily hesitated. "Especially with you." Ethan lowered his eyes. "She doesn't love me." Lily shook her head. "I didn't say that." "Then what are you saying?" "I'm saying she thinks loving someone means knowing they won't leave." Ethan absorbed the words. They were simple, but they explained more than any accusation could. Before Lily left, she stopped at the door. "Ethan." "Yeah?" "Don't let her turn your patience into a promise you never made." He looked at her. "Why do you care so much?" Lily gave him a sad smile. "Because you're my sister's fiancé." Then she left. Ethan sat alone again. His phone vibrated. A message from Victoria appeared. "Dinner tomorrow? I found a venue I think you'll love." Beneath it, another notification appeared from an unknown number. Ethan opened it. There was a photograph of Victoria and Julian sitting together at a private bar. This time they were holding hands. Ethan stared at the image for a long time. Then another message arrived. "You deserve to know what she's doing." He did not know who had sent it. He did not need to. The evidence was no longer a suspicion. It was a pattern. And suddenly Ethan understood the cruelest part. Victoria was not choosing between him and Julian. She had never intended to choose. She had Ethan for certainty, Julian for excitement, and herself at the center of both worlds. She believed neither man would leave. Ethan slowly locked his phone and leaned back in his chair. For the first time, he felt something colder than anger. He felt himself letting go. The first time Ethan realized he was looking forward to seeing Lily, he was sitting in his car outside a coffee shop in Greenwich Village, watching rain slide down the windshield in thin silver lines. He had told himself he was there because Lily had asked him to return a book she had left at his apartment months earlier. It was a ridiculous excuse. The book was already in his office. He could have returned it any number of ways. Yet when Lily stepped through the glass door carrying a paper cup and wearing a gray wool coat, Ethan felt something inside him settle. "You came," she said. "You asked me to." "I wasn't sure you would." "Why?" Lily shrugged. "Because things have been strange." Ethan looked away. "They have." She sat across from him. "How bad is it?" "Bad enough." "With Victoria?" "Mostly." Lily lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry." Ethan studied her face. "You don't have to apologize for her." "I'm not." "Then what are you apologizing for?" Lily looked toward the window. "For knowing and not knowing what to do." "You shouldn't have to do anything." "She's my sister. And I'm her fiancé." Lily smiled faintly. "You still call yourself that?" Ethan went quiet. Lily immediately regretted the question. "I'm sorry." "Don't be." He looked at her. "I'm not sure what I am anymore." The rain intensified outside. People hurried past beneath umbrellas, each one carrying a private story that Ethan imagined was probably easier than his own. Lily took a slow sip of coffee. Have you eaten? No. You never do when you're upset. Ethan looked at her. How do you know? I've known you for 4 years. Apparently you know me better than I thought. Maybe I pay attention. That sentence stayed with him. They talked for almost 2 hours, but almost none of it was about Victoria. Lily told him about a museum project she was working on, a small apartment she had recently rented in Brooklyn, and her frustration with always being introduced as Victoria's younger sister. Ethan told her about a restoration project his firm had nearly lost because a client changed the budget at the last minute. They laughed. They argued about architecture. They discovered they both hated crowded rooftop parties and preferred old bookstores to luxury boutiques. When they finally stood outside, Lily looked at him. This was nice. It was. We should probably not do it again. Ethan's expression changed. Why? Because you're still with Victoria. He nodded. You're right. I know. She smiled sadly. That's the problem. They walked in opposite directions. Ethan made it 3 blocks before stopping. He turned around. Lily was already gone. That night, Victoria called him from a charity event. Where were you? Ethan sat on his couch. Coffee. With who? Lily. There was silence. My sister? Yes. Why? She returned a book. Victoria laughed lightly. You two are becoming friends now? Ethan heard the casual amusement in her voice. We've always been friends. Don't get too attached. Ethan's face tightened. What does that mean? Nothing. Victoria. I'm joking. She changed the subject. I found a venue for April. Ethan closed his eyes. Good. You sound distracted. I'm tired. You should come to the party Saturday. I don't want to. Ethan, please. He looked at the ceiling. Fine. That's my good man. He hated the phrase. After they hung up, he sat in silence. He knew he was changing. More frighteningly, he knew Victoria had not noticed. The following Saturday, Ethan attended the party because refusing would have caused questions. The event was held in a glass-walled penthouse overlooking Central Park. Victoria moved through the room with effortless confidence, greeting executives, laughing with investors, posing for photographs. Ethan stood near the bar and watched her become the woman she wanted everyone else to believe she was. You look miserable, Lily said beside him. He turned. You always sneak up on people? Only people who are pretending not to be miserable. Ethan smiled. You look beautiful. Lily's expression softened. Thank you. Then she looked away. You shouldn't say things like that. Because I might remember them. He didn't answer. A moment later Victoria appeared. There you are. She kissed Ethan's cheek. I've been looking everywhere. Then she noticed Lily. What are you two talking about? Lily smiled. Nothing. Victoria looked between them. Good. Ethan noticed the way she said it. Not jealousy. Possession. As though she had found 2 belongings sitting too close together. I'm getting another drink, Lily said. I'll come with you, Ethan said. Lily stopped. No. He understood immediately. Right. She walked away. Victoria watched her leave. She's sensitive lately. Maybe she's tired. She always gets emotional when things don't go her way. Ethan looked at Victoria. That's an interesting observation. What? Nothing. Victoria kissed his cheek again. Come dance with me. He followed her onto the floor. Her hand rested on his shoulder. Do you remember our first dance? She asked. Yes. You were shaking. I was nervous. You told me you'd never let me go. Ethan looked at her. I was 29. And you meant it. I did. She smiled. You still do, right? Ethan hesitated. Victoria's smile weakened. Ethan? I don't know. She stepped back. What's happening to you? Nothing. You're different. Maybe I'm finally listening to myself. She stared at him. What does that mean? Before he could answer, someone called her name. Victoria immediately turned toward the crowd. I'll be right back. She disappeared into a circle of people. Ethan remained on the dance floor alone. Lily was standing near the balcony doors. Their eyes met. Neither smiled. Later, she found him outside on the terrace. You shouldn't be here. Neither should you. I mean with me. Ethan leaned against the railing. I know. Then why are you? He looked at her. Because when I'm with you, I don't feel like I'm failing someone. Lily's eyes softened. That's not enough. I know. And if you're trying to escape Victoria, I won't be your escape. I'm not asking you to be. Then what are you asking? Ethan looked out over the city. Nothing. Lily stepped closer. Ethan, this is dangerous. I know. She's my sister. I know. You're engaged to her. I know. Then stop looking at me like that. He turned toward her. Like what? Lily swallowed. Like you already chose me. The words hung between them. Ethan did not touch her. He didn't move closer. He simply said, I haven't chosen anyone. Lily nodded. Good. She walked away. Ethan watched her disappear through the doors. He knew she was right. The following weeks became a quiet test of distance. They stopped meeting alone. They communicated only when necessary. Ethan threw himself into work. Lily did the same. But absence did not erase what had already begun. It clarified it. Ethan realized he missed Lily not because she distracted him from Victoria, but because she made him feel seen without asking him to perform. Meanwhile, Victoria grew more confident. She spoke about their wedding as though it were already a settled fact. She posted photographs of venues on social media. She showed Ethan invitation samples. She even told friends that their marriage would finally happen this spring. Julian continued appearing in the margins of her life. Ethan saw it all. He simply stopped reacting. One evening, Victoria came home and found Ethan sitting at the kitchen table. Why are you awake? She asked. I wanted to talk. She removed her coat. About what? Us. She smiled. We're fine. Are we? Of course. Ethan looked at her. Do you love me? Victoria stared at him. What kind of question is that? A simple one. Yes. Then why do I feel alone? Her smile disappeared. Because you've been distant. Maybe because I've been lonely. She walked toward him. Ethan, I told you. We're getting married. He looked at her for a long moment. That's not the same as loving someone. Victoria's eyes narrowed. What happened to you? He almost answered. Instead, he said, I'm beginning to understand that promises don't mean much when they're always postponed. Victoria's voice softened. You won't leave me. Ethan looked at her. There it was again. Not, please don't leave me. Not I don't want to lose you. Just certainty. Why are you so sure? He asked. She smiled sadly. Because you love me. Ethan looked down at the table. He once would have considered that an answer. Now it sounded like a sentence. Across town, Lily sat alone in her apartment, staring at her phone. Ethan's name appeared on the screen. She didn't answer. A minute later, a message arrived. I think I'm falling in love with you. Lily closed her eyes. She knew that sentence could destroy 3 lives. She also knew that pretending she hadn't read it would not make it untrue. After several minutes, she finally replied. Then don't say it until you're free. Ethan stared at her message. He understood. For the first time in 4 years, he had stopped waiting for Victoria to choose him. He just had not yet realized that leaving her would be the easiest part. The hardest part would be deciding whether the love waiting on the other side of that door was worth the cost of opening it. By February, Victoria had turned the wedding into a subject everyone discussed except the 2 people who were supposed to be getting married. Her mother sent photographs of venues. Her father forwarded names of lawyers who handled prenuptial agreements. Friends tagged her in social media posts about spring weddings in the Hamptons. Victoria answered every message with the same confident smile and the same phrase, "We're figuring out the details." Ethan no longer corrected anyone. He had stopped asking. That was what frightened Victoria most. One Thursday night, she came home carrying 2 shopping bags and found him sitting at the kitchen island. "I bought something," she said, "for the wedding." Ethan looked at the bags. "That's nice. You don't sound excited." "I'm tired." She placed a white box on the counter. "It's a sample invitation." Ethan glanced at it. His name was printed beside hers in elegant black lettering. For a moment, he felt nothing. That frightened him more than anger ever had. Victoria watched his face. "What do you think?" "It's beautiful." "That's all." "What do you want me to say?" "I don't know. Maybe that you're happy." Ethan looked at her. "Are you?" She frowned. "Of course." "Then why do you keep postponing it?" Her shoulders dropped. "Ethan, please. I'm not fighting with you." "You sound like you are." "I'm asking a question." Victoria walked to the refrigerator and opened it without taking anything out. "I need more time." Ethan looked at her. "For what?" "For everything. You've had 4 years. That's not fair." "I know. You don't understand what marriage means to me. I understand exactly what it means to you." She turned. "Then explain it." Ethan's voice remained quiet. "It means you have to choose." Victoria stared at him. "I am choosing you." "No." She stiffened. "Excuse me. You're choosing not to lose me." The word struck her harder than shouting would have. "That's cruel." "Maybe. You think I'm some terrible person. I think you've been asking me to wait while you decide whether I'm enough." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "I love you." Ethan nodded. "I believe you." "Then why isn't that enough?" "Because love without a decision can still destroy someone." She looked at him for a long moment. "What do you want me to do?" "Nothing." "Nothing?" "I'm done asking." Victoria laughed nervously. "You're being dramatic." "No." Ethan stood. "I'm being honest." He walked toward the bedroom. Victoria followed. "Ethan, don't walk away." He stopped. "I'm not walking away tonight." "Then what are you doing?" He looked at her. "I'm accepting what you've been telling me for years." "Which is?" "That you're not ready." Victoria's face changed. "So what does that mean?" Ethan took a breath. "It means you don't have to marry me." "I didn't say I don't want to." "You don't have to explain anymore." "Ethan. I'm serious." She stepped closer. "Are you breaking up with me?" He looked at her with a sadness that contained no anger. "Yes." Victoria froze. She had imagined this moment many times, but never like this. In every version, Ethan shouted. He demanded explanations. He begged her to stay. He threatened to expose Julian. He cried. He gave her another chance. She had never imagined him simply saying yes and meaning it. "You can't," she whispered. "I just did." "After everything?" "Because of everything." "What about the wedding?" "There won't be one." She shook her head. "I do." "You're angry." "I'm not." "Then. Why are you so calm?" Ethan looked at her. "Because I've already cried about this." "Just not in front of you." Victoria covered her mouth. He walked past her. She grabbed his wrist. "Ethan, please." He gently removed her hand. "I'm sorry." "Don't say that." "Why?" "Because it sounds final." "It is." He packed quietly. No dramatic slamming of drawers. No accusations. He left the engagement ring on the kitchen counter. Victoria stared at it after the door closed. She stood there for almost an hour, unable to move. Then her phone rang. "Julian." She answered immediately. "What happened?" he asked. Victoria swallowed. Ethan left. There was a pause. For good. I don't know. Victoria. His voice changed. Does he know? She closed her eyes. About us. Yes. Enough. Julian exhaled. Then maybe this is what you wanted. Victoria opened her eyes. No. You told me you wanted freedom. I wanted both. Silence. Julian laughed bitterly. You can't have both anymore. Don't make this about you. It was always about me too. She ended the call. For the first time, the two worlds she had carefully kept apart had collided. But she still believed Ethan would come back. He always had. 2 weeks passed. He didn't. Ethan moved into a quiet apartment downtown. He worked late, ate alone, and began rebuilding the routines he had abandoned during the relationship. He stopped checking Victoria's social media. He stopped looking at the photographs from their vacations. He stopped explaining the breakup to friends. When people asked, he simply said, "We wanted different things." One evening, Lily found him at a small bookstore in Brooklyn. She almost walked away when she saw him, but Ethan noticed her. Lily. Hi. What are you doing here? Buying a book. He smiled. That's usually what people do in bookstores. She laughed softly. Then her expression became serious. I heard. Ethan nodded. I'm sorry. Don't be. Are you okay? Not completely. She looked at him. Are you getting there? They stood between two shelves, surrounded by the smell of paper and dust. Lily whispered. Did she tell you about Julian? She didn't have to. Lily looked down. I'm sorry. You keep saying that. Because I feel like I should. Why? Because she's my sister. Ethan stepped closer, but stopped before the distance became intimate. You didn't betray me. I know. You didn't betray her either. Lily looked at him. I don't know about that. You haven't done anything. Not yet. Ethan's expression tightened. Lily. I love you. He closed his eyes. She immediately shook her head. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it. No. He opened his eyes. Don't apologize for telling the truth. But what do we do with it? He had no answer. She looked at him with tears gathering in her eyes. If I choose you, I'm the sister who took her sister's fiancé. You didn't take me. People won't care about the difference. I care. What about Victoria? Ethan was silent. She'll hate me. Maybe. She'll say I waited for her to fall. You didn't. But I knew you were unhappy. So did everyone. Lily shook her head. Not like me. Ethan looked at her. What are you afraid of? That I love you because you needed someone to see you. And if you love me when I don't need saving. Lily's eyes met his. Then maybe I'll know it's real. They left the bookstore separately. Neither touched the other. Neither made a promise. But the next morning, Ethan woke with a strange certainty. His feelings for Lily had survived distance, guilt, and silence. They were not a reaction to Victoria. They had become something independent. Something chosen. Across town, Victoria sat alone in her apartment, scrolling through old photographs. She stopped at one from their second year together. Ethan was laughing beside her, his arm around her waist. She remembered the moment. She remembered feeling safe. She had mistaken that safety for permanence. Her phone buzzed. A message from Ethan appeared. I hope you're doing okay. She stared at it. Her heart raced. She typed, come home. Then deleted it. Typed, I miss you. Deleted that too. Finally she wrote, I'm okay. Ethan read the message and placed the phone down. He did not reply. That silence was the beginning of the end. A week later, Lily stood before her bathroom mirror and whispered, I didn't steal him. She said it again. I didn't steal him. But the mirror offered no absolution. She knew the truth was more complicated. Ethan had been Victoria's fiancé. Now he was a free man. Yet love did not erase history, and freedom did not erase guilt. Somewhere between those two truths, Lily understood that if she ever chose Ethan, she would have to accept the cost. And Ethan understood something equally painful: choosing Lily would not be revenge against Victoria. It would mean choosing a future that Victoria could no longer control. The proposal happened on a Sunday morning in March, far from Manhattan, far from Victoria, and far from the version of Ethan Callaway that had once believed love meant waiting indefinitely. Lily had driven north the night before, and Ethan had followed in a separate car because neither of them was ready to let the world attach a meaning to their movements. They were staying at a small inn overlooking the Hudson River, where the windows rattled softly whenever the wind came down from the hills. Lily stood on the porch holding 2 cups of coffee when Ethan walked outside. "You didn't sleep," she said. "Neither did you." "I was thinking." "About Victoria?" Lily looked at him. "About us." Ethan stopped beside her. The river below them moved slowly beneath the morning fog. "Lily. Don't. I need to say something." "Then say it carefully," he smiled faintly. "I love you." She closed her eyes. "I know. No. I don't think you do." "I do." "Then let me finish." She turned toward him. Ethan reached into his coat pocket. Lily's breath caught. "Ethan." He opened his hand. A small ring rested in his palm. It was simple, understated, with a narrow band and a small stone that caught the pale morning light. Lily stared at it. "You bought that already?" 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. I didn't know when I'd ask." She looked at him with disbelief. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I needed to know whether I wanted you or whether I wanted the feeling of being loved by someone who wasn't Victoria." Lily's eyes filled. And every day I spent away from you made one thing clearer." He stepped closer. "I don't want a replacement. I don't want an escape. I want you." Lily looked at the ring, then at him. "You understand what this means?" "Yes." "No, you don't." Her voice trembled. "If I marry you, people will say I waited for my sister's relationship to collapse. They'll say I took what belonged to her. You never belonged to anyone. That's not how people will see it." Ethan nodded. "Then we'll live with what people say." She shook her head. "That's easy for you to say." "You're right." He lowered the ring. "So tell me what you need." Lily stared at him for a long time. "Promise me something." "Anything. Don't ever use our marriage to hurt Victoria," Ethan answered immediately. "I won't. Not even if she humiliates us. I won't. Not even if she says I stole you. I won't." Lily's voice broke. "Not even if part of you wants her to regret losing you." Ethan looked down at the ring. He knew she had found the most vulnerable place inside him. "I promise." Lily took a breath. "And if you ever realize you're still in love with her, you tell me before you marry me." Ethan looked directly into her eyes. "I will. And if I ever feel like I'm becoming her shadow, you tell me." "You could never be her shadow." Lily smiled through tears. "Don't make promises you can't keep." "Then I promise to keep choosing you." She finally extended her hand. Ethan slipped the ring onto her finger. Neither of them kissed immediately. They simply stood there, looking at the small circle of gold that had changed the shape of their lives. Then Lily whispered, "We're really doing this?" Ethan smiled. "Yes." She looked toward the river. "We're going to have to tell her. Eventually. Not like this. Never like this." They agreed that Victoria would not learn through social media, gossip, or a photograph posted by someone else. They would tell her when the time was right, privately and with dignity. That promise became their quiet rule. Back in Manhattan, Victoria lived as though nothing fundamental had changed. She still told friends that Ethan was taking some space. She still referred to the spring as though their wedding might somehow be postponed rather than cancelled. When someone asked whether they were back together, she smiled and said, "We're working through things." The lie became easier because she repeated it often. Julian had disappeared from her life almost as quickly as he had entered it. He had stopped calling. He answered her messages with brief replies. When she finally asked him why, he said, "Because I don't want to be the man you keep while waiting for someone else." She hated him for saying it because it sounded too much like Ethan. Meanwhile, Ethan and Lily began making arrangements in secret. They chose a small venue outside the city. A restored stone estate overlooking the water. Lily wanted only close family and a few friends. Ethan agreed. "No spectacle," he said. "No spectacle," she repeated. "And no social media until after." "Agreed." "And Victoria?" Ethan was silent. Lily looked at him. "We have to tell her before the wedding." "I know. Ethan. I know." He took her hand. "I'm not afraid of telling her." "What are you afraid of?" "Hurting you." Lily squeezed his fingers. "Then don't make this about her." He nodded. "You're right." Their engagement remained invisible to the world. There were no photographs, no announcement, no ring displayed on Instagram. Yet secrets had a strange way of becoming visible through small changes. Lily began smiling more. Ethan began leaving the city more often. He started turning down dinners with people he had once seen every week. Victoria noticed. One afternoon she called him. "Where are you?" Ethan looked through the windshield at the Hudson River. "Upstate." "Why?" "Work." "You don't have work up there." He paused. "I do now." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm busy." Victoria laughed. "You're avoiding me." "No." "Then, why won't you see me?" Ethan looked at the ring box hidden in the glove compartment. "Because I need space." She softened immediately. "Ethan, you know I miss you." He closed his eyes. "I know. I think we should talk." "About what?" "About us." "There isn't an us anymore." Victoria was silent. "You don't mean that." "I do." "You still love me." Ethan looked out at the river. "That's not the question anymore." "Then what is?" "Whether I can build a life with someone who makes me feel chosen." Victoria swallowed. "You're being unfair." "I'm being honest." She ended the call. That night, she opened her laptop and searched Ethan's name. She found nothing. No new photographs. No relationship announcement. No clue. Then she noticed something in Lily's recent activity. Nothing obvious. Just fewer appearances at family events, fewer comments, fewer photographs. Victoria dismissed it. She's probably busy, she told herself. She had no idea that Lily was sitting across town at Ethan's apartment, choosing flowers for a wedding she believed would remain secret until the proper moment. "What about these?" Lily asked, showing him a photograph. "Too much." "You hate everything." "I hate expensive flowers." "That's not true." "I hate pretending expensive flowers make people happier." She laughed. "You're impossible. And you're marrying me. Apparently." Ethan reached across the table and took her hand. "Are you scared?" Lily nodded. "Every day." "Me too." "Good." "Why good?" "Because it means we understand what we're doing." She looked at him. "Promise me again." "What?" "That when we stand there, it won't be because Victoria lost you." Ethan's eyes softened. "It will be because you found me," Lily smiled. "That's better." 2 days later, Victoria received an invitation to a charity gala from a mutual friend. She almost declined until she saw Ethan's name among the expected guests. Her heart jumped. She called him immediately. "Are you going?" "No." "Why?" "I have plans." "With who?" Ethan hesitated for half a second. "Someone." Victoria smiled despite herself. "Someone?" "Yes." "Is it a woman?" Ethan looked at Lily, who was sitting beside him on the train. "Yes." Victoria's face changed. "Who?" "Good night, Victoria." He ended the call. She stared at the phone. For the first time, jealousy entered the space where certainty had once lived. She told herself it was temporary. Ethan was hurt. Ethan was lonely. Ethan would come back. He always had. What she did not know was that the woman beside him was Lily, and the ring on Lily's finger was no longer waiting for the right moment. It was waiting for the wedding day. Victoria learned about Lily's wedding 3 weeks before it happened, and the news arrived so casually that she almost missed its significance. Her mother called on a Tuesday afternoon while Victoria was leaving a meeting in Midtown. "Your sister's getting married," she said. Victoria stopped beside the elevator. "What? Lily?" She finally said, "Yes." Victoria frowned. "To whom?" "A man named Ethan." For one strange second, the world seemed to tilt. "Ethan what?" Her mother laughed softly. "I don't know, darling. Some man she's been seeing quietly." Victoria exhaled. Oh. The relief came so quickly it embarrassed her. Of course. Another Ethan. Some man Lily had met recently. She had never imagined her younger sister could possibly be marrying her Ethan. "When?" Victoria asked. "Next Saturday." "That soon?" "Very small ceremony." Victoria looked at her reflection in the dark glass of the elevator doors. "I'll be there." She spent the rest of the afternoon pretending the conversation meant nothing. That evening, however, she searched Lily's social media. There were almost no clues. Lily had always been private, but now she seemed almost invisible. Victoria scrolled through photographs, comments, tagged posts. Nothing. She finally called her sister. Lily answered after several rings. "Hi. Why didn't you tell me?" Lily's silence was immediate. "Mom told you. About the wedding?" "Yes." "Who is he?" Lily hesitated. "You'll meet him." "That's not an answer." "I know." Victoria laughed nervously. "You sound strange." "I'm nervous." "About getting married?" "About everything." Victoria softened. "Lily, I'm your sister. You can tell me." Lily closed her eyes. "I'll see you next Saturday." "What's his name?" Lily said nothing. "Lily. I have to go." The call ended. Victoria stared at the phone. Something about the conversation bothered her, but she could not identify what. She decided Lily was simply protecting her privacy. Besides, Victoria had bigger problems. Ethan still wasn't coming back. She had sent him 3 messages that week. He had answered only one. "I hope you're well." That was all. It infuriated her. 4 years together, and now he wrote like a stranger. She began attending therapy, though she told no one. Her therapist asked her why she was still waiting for Ethan. "Because he loves me," Victoria answered. "How do you know?" "Because he always has." "That's not an answer." Victoria looked away. "He promised." "People change." "He shouldn't." "Why?" Victoria had no answer. The following Saturday arrived under a pale blue sky. The wedding venue was a restored estate 2 hours outside Manhattan, surrounded by trees beginning to turn green with spring. Victoria arrived alone. She wore a cream dress and carried a small gift wrapped in white paper. She was nervous but determined to be supportive. Whatever complicated feelings existed between her and Ethan, this was Lily's day. She would behave like a sister. The ceremony was being held outdoors. White chairs faced a stone arch covered with climbing roses. Guests spoke quietly. Victoria looked around. "Where's the groom?" she asked her mother. "Probably getting ready." "Do you know his name?" Her mother smiled. Lily wanted it to be a surprise. Victoria laughed. "That's very Lily." Then the music began. Everyone stood. Lily appeared at the far end of the aisle in a simple ivory gown. Victoria's heart tightened. Her sister looked radiant. Not glamorous. Not performative. Just happy. Lily walked slowly toward the altar. Victoria smiled through unexpected tears. Then she looked at the groom. Her smile disappeared. Ethan stood beneath the stone arch in a dark suit. For several seconds, Victoria could not breathe. The world seemed to narrow to one impossible image. Ethan. Her Ethan. Standing beside her sister. Wearing a wedding ring. No, she whispered. Her mother turned. Victoria. No. Lily reached the altar. Ethan looked at her. And his expression held something Victoria had never seen directed at her anymore. Peace. He took Lily's hand. Victoria's knees weakened. She grabbed the back of a chair. Someone nearby whispered, "Are you okay?" She didn't answer. Her mind raced through every unexplained detail. The secret trips, the unanswered calls. The woman Ethan had mentioned. Lily's silence. The wedding invitation, it had all been there, she had simply refused to see it. He wouldn't, she whispered. He couldn't. Then Lily looked toward the guests. Her eyes found Victoria. The two sisters stared at each other. Lily's face filled with sorrow. Victoria saw the apology before Lily spoke a word. The ceremony continued. Victoria heard almost none of it. She heard Ethan say, "I do." She heard Lily's voice tremble as she said the same words. She watched them exchange rings. She watched Ethan kiss Lily. Each moment felt like a door closing. Not violently. Quietly. Permanently. When the ceremony ended, Victoria walked away before anyone could stop her. She found Ethan near the side of the house, alone for a moment. "How could you?" she demanded. He turned. His face changed when he saw her. "Victoria. Don't." She walked closer. "Don't say my name like you feel sorry for me." Ethan remained calm. "I don't want to hurt you. You married my sister." "Yes." "You knew I would be here." "Yes." "And you let me find out like this." "I didn't tell you because Lily asked me not to." Victoria laughed bitterly. "Lily asked you. We both agreed we would tell you before the wedding, but you didn't." The timing became complicated. Complicated? Her voice cracked. "You were my fiancé." "I was. You were supposed to marry me. You said you needed more time. That doesn't mean you marry my sister." Ethan looked at her quietly. "No. It doesn't." "Then why?" "Because I love her." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "You loved me." "I did. You still do." Ethan did not answer immediately. "I care about you." "That's not what I asked. I don't know if love means what it used to mean when I say your name." Victoria stepped closer. "Did you do this to punish me?" "No." "To make me jealous?" "No." "To make me regret Julian?" Ethan's expression hardened slightly. "This has nothing to do with Julian." "Then what does it have to do with?" He looked toward the reception tent where Lily was speaking with guests. "Lily never made me compete for her love." Victoria went still. "That's your answer?" "It's the truth." "Oppose her because she was easier?" "No. Because she was waiting." "No. Because she knew you were hurt?" "No." Ethan looked directly at her. "I chose her because when I was with her, I never had to wonder whether I mattered." Victoria covered her mouth. "I mattered to you." "You did. Then why wasn't that enough?" Ethan's voice softened. "Because I spent years trying to convince you that I was worth choosing. I was going to marry you. Eventually. Yes. And I couldn't live on eventually anymore." She shook her head. "You should have told me." "You're right. You should have given me a chance. You had 4 years. That's not the same." "It was more than enough." Victoria's tears fell now. "You don't understand what you've done." "I understand." "No. You don't. You've destroyed my family." Ethan looked at her sadly. "Victoria, your choices were made long before this wedding." She flinched. "Don't blame me for this. I'm not blaming you for Lily and me." "Paua. Then, what are you saying?" I'm saying this didn't happen because you lost me in one day. You lost me slowly, every time you asked me to wait while keeping someone else close. Victoria looked down. Julian didn't mean anything. Ethan's expression remained still. He meant enough. I was confused. I loved you. I know. She looked at him desperately. Then forgive me. Ethan nodded. I do. She stared at him. You do? Yes. Then come back. His answer came quietly. No. Victoria's face collapsed. Why? Because forgiveness doesn't mean returning to the place where you were broken. She wiped her tears. And Lily? Ethan looked toward the reception. Lily is not your replacement. She's my sister. She's my wife. The word struck her harder than anything else. Wife. Not fiancé. Not boyfriend. Not someone he might return to. Wife. Victoria stepped back. She'll regret this. Ethan shook his head. I hope she never does. You really love her? Yes. Victoria looked toward Lily. Her younger sister was laughing with a guest, unaware of the conversation happening behind the house. For the first time, Victoria saw something painful in her sister's happiness. Lily had never stolen Ethan. Ethan had walked toward her willingly. Victoria's voice became barely audible. When did you stop waiting for me? Ethan looked at her. Long before I stopped loving you. She closed her eyes. That was the answer she had feared most. He had not replaced her overnight. He had simply stopped waiting for a woman who kept asking him to remain where she had left him. Ethan walked away. Victoria remained beneath the spring sunlight, listening to the distant sound of laughter and glasses being raised in celebration. Behind her, the wedding continued. Ahead of her was the first life she would have to build without the certainty that Ethan would someday return. And for the first time, she understood the true cruelty of the day. She had not discovered that Ethan had chosen Lily. She had discovered that Ethan had finally chosen himself. The morning after the wedding, Victoria woke in her Manhattan apartment to a silence that felt larger than the rooms themselves. Her dress from the ceremony hung over the back of a chair. She had not changed out of it until nearly 2 in the morning. On the kitchen counter sat the wedding program she had picked up without thinking, Ethan's name printed beside Lily's in clean black letters. She stared at it for a long time before turning it face down. Her phone contained dozens of messages. Her mother had called 6 times. Her father had left 2 voicemails. Friends had sent carefully worded texts asking if she was all right. Victoria answered none of them. At 9, she finally called Lily. No answer. She called again. Still nothing. Then she sent a message. We need to talk. Lily replied 10 minutes later. I know. They met that afternoon in a small cafe halfway between their apartments, a place neither sister had ever visited with Ethan. Victoria arrived first. She sat near the window, watching people walk past with umbrellas. When Lily entered, Victoria felt something inside her tighten. Her sister was wearing a simple cream sweater and jeans. No makeup beyond what was necessary. The wedding ring was still on her finger. Victoria looked at it. Take it off. Lily stopped. What? Just for a minute. Victoria. Please. Lily slowly sat down. I won't take it off. Victoria laughed bitterly. You really are different now. I hope so. You knew. Lily looked down. Yes. How long? Before the engagement. Victoria's eyes widened. The engagement? Yes. You were engaged to him before I knew he was even seeing you. Lily nodded. Yes. How could you do that? Lily's voice remained quiet. I didn't want to. But you did. Yes. Victoria leaned forward. Did you ever feel guilty? Every day. Then why did you continue? Lily looked directly at her. Because loving someone doesn't stop being real just because the timing is painful. Victoria shook her head. That's convenient. It wasn't. You knew he was mine. Lily's expression changed. No. Excuse me. Ethan was never yours. Victoria stared at her. You sound just like him. Because he's right. Silence fell between them. Victoria's eyes filled. I waited for you to say that you were sorry. I am sorry. Then say it. I'm sorry that this hurts you. Victoria looked away. That's not enough. I know. You took my fiancé. Lily shook her head. I didn't take him. You married him. Yes. That's the same thing. No. Lily's voice became firmer. You and Ethan ended your relationship before he ever asked me to marry him. Victoria swallowed. You were waiting. I wasn't. You knew he would leave me. I knew he was unhappy. And you took advantage of it. Lily's eyes filled with tears. Do you really believe that? Victoria hesitated. I don't know what I believe. Then believe this. I never asked him to leave you. Victoria said nothing. I told him not to come near me while he was still with you. I told him I would not be the reason you two ended. Lily's voice cracked. He ended it himself. Victoria looked down at the table. She remembered Ethan standing in their apartment, calm and exhausted, telling her he was done asking. At the time, she had thought it was another emotional reaction. Now she understood it had been a decision. I thought he'd come back, she whispered. Lily looked at her. I know. I thought he'd calm down. I know. I thought if I gave him space, and then he'd realize he couldn't live without me. Lily's eyes softened. That's what you always believed. Victoria laughed quietly through tears. I thought his patience meant I was safe. What do you mean? I thought he stayed because he couldn't leave. Lily didn't answer. Victoria looked at the wedding ring on Lily's finger. I confused his love with weakness. The admission seemed to hollow her from the inside. I kept pushing him away because I knew he would come back. Lily whispered, until he didn't. Victoria closed her eyes. Until he didn't. They sat quietly. For the first time in years, neither sister was trying to win. There was no audience, no family, no social media, no image to protect. Just two women facing the consequences of choices neither could undo. Do you hate me? Lily asked. Victoria looked at her. I tried. And I couldn't. Lily exhaled. I don't hate you either. Victoria smiled sadly. You should. Why? Because I made you live in my shadow for years. Class. Lily looked down. That's true. I made you feel like you were always the less successful sister. Yes. And now you married the man I lost. Lily's eyes filled. I didn't want to hurt you. I know. Victoria reached across the table, but stopped before touching her. Be happy. Lily looked at her. Are you sure? Victoria nodded slowly. I don't have the right to ask you not to be. When they parted, Victoria walked alone for several blocks. She passed a jewelry store and saw wedding bands displayed beneath soft lights. She stopped. Once, she had imagined choosing one with Ethan. Now she realized the ring had never been the real problem. The problem was that she had treated marriage as something she could postpone without consequence. That evening, Ethan received a message from Victoria. Can we talk? Just once. No arguments. He stared at the screen. Lily was reading on the couch beside him. Who is it? She asked. Victoria. Lily nodded. Do you want to answer? Ethan thought about it. Yes. They met the next day in a quiet park near the river. Victoria arrived without makeup and without the carefully constructed confidence she usually wore in public. You look tired, Ethan said. I am. How are you? Not well. He nodded. I'm sorry. Don't be. She looked at him. I finally understand something. What? You weren't threatening to leave me all those years. Ethan remained silent. You were asking me to choose you. Yes. And I kept telling myself you would never actually leave. Yes. I thought your patience meant I had control. Ethan looked down. I think you believe that. Victoria swallowed. I confused being loved with being entitled to someone. He looked at her. That's a hard thing to admit. It's the truth. She took a breath. I'm sorry, Ethan. He nodded. Thank you. That's it? What do you want me to say? I don't know, she laughed softly. Maybe I wanted you to tell me everything could still be fixed. Ethan looked at her with compassion. I can't. Her eyes filled. I know. I forgive you. She looked up. You do? Yes. Why? Because I don't want to spend the rest of my life carrying anger. Does Lily know? Yes. Does she trust me? I think she's trying. Victoria looked toward the river. I don't deserve that. Maybe not. She smiled faintly. You're still honest. I have to be. I wish you had been less honest sometimes. Ethan smiled sadly. I wish I had been honest sooner. She turned toward him. If I had chosen you when you asked, would things be different? He paused. Yes. Would you have loved me forever? I don't know. She nodded. That's fair. Victoria. Yes? You need to understand something, she looked at him. Forgiveness isn't an invitation, her expression trembled. It means I don't want you to suffer because of me. But you won't come back. No. She closed her eyes. The tears came quietly. That's the part I can't forgive myself for. Ethan shook his head. You don't have to punish yourself forever. What if I deserve to? Then you're still making your life about me. She looked at him. What should I make it about? You. Victoria laughed through tears. I don't know who that is anymore. Then find out. He stood. She remained seated. Ethan. Are you happy? He looked toward the river. Then he smiled. Yes. That single word broke something inside her, but it also released her from the last illusion she had been holding. Ethan was not waiting. He was not secretly miserable. He was not comparing Lily to her. He had built a life beyond the reach of her indecision. Victoria watched him walk away. For years, she had believed the worst thing Ethan could do to her was leave. She finally understood that wasn't true. The worst thing was that he could leave, forgive her, and still never come back. That was what she had lost. Not merely a fiancé. Not merely a future. She had lost the man who had once been willing to wait forever, and she had discovered too late that forever was not a promise he had ever made. By October, the city had changed colors. Manhattan's trees along the avenues had turned gold and rust, and the air carried the first sharp promise of winter. 6 months had passed since the wedding, and Ethan Calloway had learned that happiness did not always announce itself. Sometimes it arrived quietly, in the form of coffee left beside his laptop before sunrise, a coat hung over the back of a chair, or Lily humming in the kitchen while she watered the herbs on their apartment windowsill. You're staring again, Lily said one morning. Ethan looked up from his laptop. At you. She smiled. That's becoming a habit. I don't mind. She brought him coffee. You have a meeting at 9. I know. And you're going to be late. Probably. She leaned against the counter. Then stopped staring. Ethan closed the laptop. Come here. Lily walked over. He took her hand and kissed her fingers. Happy? She asked. Very. She smiled. Good. Their marriage had not been perfect. They argued about money, work, family dinners, and whose turn it was to take out the trash. Sometimes Lily became afraid that Ethan was remembering Victoria. Sometimes Ethan became afraid that Lily regretted choosing him, but they had learned to speak before silence became resentment. There was no performance. No social media announcement designed to make other people jealous. No carefully staged photograph proving they were happy. Their life was ordinary, and that ordinary life felt precious. One evening, Lily found Ethan sitting on the balcony. What's wrong? She asked. Nothing. That's not convincing. He smiled. I was thinking about how different everything is. She sat beside him. Do you regret it? Marrying you? Everything. Ethan looked at her. No. Not even the way it happened. He considered the question. I regret hurting people. Victoria? Yes. Lily looked toward the city. Sometimes I wonder if she thinks I stole you. She knows I left. Does she? Ethan nodded. I think she does now. Across Manhattan, Victoria sat in a conference room overlooking Fifth Avenue. Her career had not collapsed. That surprised some people. She had survived the gossip, the awkward family gatherings, and the questions that disappeared once people found another story to discuss. She had even received a promotion. From the outside, her life looked stronger than ever. She wore expensive clothes, attended charity dinners, traveled for work, and appeared in photographs beside people who mattered. But the old confidence had changed. She no longer mistook attention for affection. She no longer measured herself against every woman who walked into a room. At lunch one afternoon, a colleague mentioned Ethan casually. Did you hear? He's doing that restoration project in Westchester. Victoria's hand stopped above her coffee. No. He's apparently doing really well. She forced a smile. I'm glad. Her colleague continued talking, unaware of the history behind the sentence. Victoria listened politely. Later, alone in her office, she searched for his name. She found a photograph from a local publication. Ethan stood beside Lily outside a restored historic building. They were smiling, but not for the camera. Lily was looking at Ethan. Ethan was looking at her. Victoria stared at the image. There was no bitterness in his face. No performance. He looked peaceful. She closed the page. Then she opened it again. This time she noticed Lily's hand resting against his arm. The wedding ring caught the light. Victoria whispered, "You really stayed." She immediately corrected herself. No. He moved on. That distinction mattered. For months, she had told herself that Ethan had chosen Lily because he was hurt. Then because Lily had been available. Then because he wanted to punish her. But those explanations had slowly disappeared. What remained was simpler and more painful. Ethan had found someone who made him feel safe without making him earn that safety. Victoria had once believed that being loved meant having the power to delay a decision. She now understood the opposite. Love was fragile precisely because the person you loved remained free to leave. One Sunday, Victoria visited her parents. Lily and Ethan were there for dinner. It was the first time the four of them had sat around the same table since the wedding. Victoria almost cancelled. Instead, she went. When Ethan arrived with Lily, Victoria watched them remove their coats together. There was no awkward display of affection. No attempt to make her jealous. Lily simply reached for Ethan's hand while they walked into the dining room. Victoria smiled. You two look happy. Lily nodded. We are. Victoria looked at Ethan. You? Very. Good. Dinner was surprisingly ordinary. Charles complained about the weather. Her mother talked about a neighbor's renovation. Lily laughed about something Ethan had done that morning. Victoria listened. At one point, she and Ethan found themselves alone in the kitchen. How are you? He asked. Better. That's good. She leaned against the counter. I used to think if you ever left, I'd fall apart. Ethan said nothing. I didn't. You were always stronger than you thought. She smiled. You used to say that. I still mean it. Victoria looked at him. I finally understand. Understand what? That I didn't lose you at the wedding. Ethan's expression softened. No. I lost you when I kept asking you to wait. Yes. She swallowed. And you were already gone before I realized it. Emotionally, yes. Victoria nodded slowly. That's what hurts most. Ethan looked at her with quiet compassion. I'm sorry. She shook her head. Don't be. I needed to learn it. What will you do now? She smiled faintly. I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe. She looked toward the dining room where Lily was laughing with their parents. She's good for you. Ethan smiled. She is. Victoria took a breath. Take care of her. I will. And let her take care of you. Ethan's eyes softened. I will. Victoria nodded. She did not ask for another chance, she did not ask him to remember the past differently, she did not ask whether he still loved her. She finally understood that some questions were only attempts to reopen doors that had been closed for a reason. Months later, Ethan and Lily moved into a small house outside the city. It was not the glamorous home Victoria had once imagined for herself and Ethan. There was no sweeping staircase, no magazine-worthy kitchen, no rooftop overlooking Manhattan. There were crooked shelves, old wooden floors, and a garden Lily insisted they would eventually make beautiful. On their first night there, they sat on the floor surrounded by unopened boxes. We're terrible at moving, Lily said. Ethan laughed. Speak for yourself. You haven't opened a single box. I opened this one. That box contains plates. Important plates. She laughed and leaned against his shoulder. Outside, rain tapped against the windows. Ethan looked around the room. Do you ever think about how close we came to not doing this? Lily was quiet. Sometimes. Are you scared? Less than before. Why? She looked at him. Because I finally understand that you didn't choose me because you were running from her. Ethan kissed her forehead. I chose you because I wanted to stay. Lily smiled. Then stay. I am. They sat in silence. It was the kind of silence Ethan had once feared. Now it felt like home. In Manhattan, Victoria continued building her career. She no longer attended every event. She stopped posting photographs designed to prove she was thriving. She learned to go home early. She began volunteering at a community organization that helped young professionals who felt trapped by expectations of success and status. She never told anyone why she had chosen it. Perhaps she didn't fully know herself. One evening, she stood outside the organization's building after a long day. A young woman approached her. Are you Victoria Bennett? Yes. I read your interview. Victoria smiled politely. Thank you. You said something I liked. What did I say? The woman smiled. That sometimes we spend so much time trying to build a life that looks successful, we forget to ask whether we actually want to live it. Victoria looked away. For a moment, she saw Ethan's face in her mind. She remembered the restaurant. The hotel photograph. The ring on the counter. The wedding aisle. The way he had said, I couldn't live on eventually anymore. She finally understood the sentence completely. Her greatest mistake had not been loving Julian. It had not even been betraying Ethan. Those were consequences of something deeper. She had believed love was permanent simply because she had been loved deeply. She had mistaken patience for surrender, forgiveness for permission, and promises for guarantees. Ethan had once stood beside her willing to build a future. She had treated that future as though it belonged to her before she had earned the right to keep it. And when she finally realized its value, someone else was standing where she had assumed she would always stand. That night, Victoria returned home and opened the old box containing photographs from her relationship with Ethan. She did not destroy them. She did not cry. She simply looked at the woman she had been. In one photograph, Ethan was smiling at her as though she were the only person in the room. Victoria touched the edge of the picture. I'm sorry, she whispered. Then she put it away. Not because she had forgotten him. Because she no longer needed to keep the past alive to punish herself. Somewhere beyond the city, Ethan and Lily were asleep in their new home. The rain had stopped. The house was quiet. Lily reached for Ethan's hand in the darkness, and he held it without waking completely. There was no grand promise between them. No declaration that love would last forever. Only the simple certainty that tomorrow they would wake up and choose each other again. And perhaps that was what Victoria had understood too late. Love was never a person waiting endlessly at the door. Love was the person who stayed because they were still being chosen. She had spent years believing Ethan would wait forever. By the time she finally understood that he was free to leave, he had already learned how to live without waiting.